Hello and a very warm welcome to our Twinkle of Christmas Masterclass. I'm Claire German, Managing Director at Design Centre Chelsea Harper. In this virtual format, we're keeping our community engaged and inspired wherever they are. We're bringing together the best in creative talent as they share insider knowledge, decorating secrets and tricks of the trade. Everything may be very different this year, but by the magic of technology, we're bringing the spirit of Christmas to your home. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce renowned illustrator Megan Hess, beaming in from Melbourne, Australia. She has worked with a host of luxury brands, including Chanel, Dior, Fendi and Cartier, as well as magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. She is a best-selling author, has written 13 books, and is loved by fans worldwide for her elegant lines, which she creates with her trusty Montblanc pen, Monty. We have a rare treat as she has found the time to take us through her creative process. So over to you, Megan, and thank you all for tuning in.
Hi everyone, it's Megan Hess. I'm about to teach you a masterclass in fashion illustration for the Design Centre, London. My masterclass today is for anyone who is interested in drawing fashion or drawing in general. This class is going to be easy, I promise, and it's going to be something that you can do if you are someone that can't draw at all or someone who is actually quite keen on developing their skills in fashion illustration. I think there are two really key aspects to being able to actually draw fashion illustration. Now, the first one is I'm not going to lie, it's tricky. It's being able to draw the human body. Now, if you can do that, you are almost at the finish line of a fashion illustration. That's the hardest part. But in reality, learning to draw the human body actually is quite difficult. It's taken me years to be able to do it well. So for this class, I'm going to suggest two things. If you're really interested in pursuing this further, or it's something that you want to really perfect, learn how to draw the human body. And there are a lot of ways you can do it, and you don't have to do live drawing. You can actually just practice and practice and practice that form, and that is going to help you enormously. If you want to skip to the next stage, my first tip is going to be to get a fashion template. Now, the best way to get a fashion template is probably just to Google it. Just Google fashion template and a million different things will come up on the internet. Pick one that you really like, and for today's purpose, you can use that when you draw your 3 silhouettes. So today I'm going to run through how to make your desk the perfect space to work on. And trust me, this is a really key thing, so you're going to love that. The second thing that we're going to look at is getting inspiration. How do you get inspired to draw something when you're facing a blank piece of paper? And then we're going to look at the tools to draw fashion illustration with. I'm going to introduce you to my secret weapon, Monty. But you can draw with anything. So we're going to run through all the tools that you can use to actually create your own fashion illustrations. And then I'm going to run through drawing 3 key fashion silhouettes. The first one being the sleek, which sounds simple, but it's probably the most difficult of all 3. The second silhouette is the princess silhouette. So think Cinderella. And then the third silhouette is the crazy couture. And strangely, that one is the easiest. So they're the 3 dresses that at the end of this masterclass I will have shown you, and you will be able to do yourself, I promise. Once we finish that, we're going to talk about signing your art, framing your art, and then how to keep and preserve those pieces that you've just created. So the first thing I want to talk about is your desk. Setting up your desk in a way that makes you feel inspired to create. And the reason why I think this is so important is that I have always really believed that if you create a space that feels really good to create things, it's so much easier and more enjoyable to create. Now, when I first started fashion illustration, I did not have a beautiful studio to work in. I worked in my bedroom, I worked on the kitchen table, and none of these spaces were necessarily very creative, but I did everything I could to make them feel as much like me and as much like a space that was waiting to be created upon. So create your desk in a way that feels good to you. For me, I love flowers. I have some photos of that are really special to me. I have a special little Louis Vuitton trunk that I keep all my notes and cards in. I have just little trinkets and things that I've kept from all my travels. I have notes that were written to me by someone very special, things like that. And all of these things just make my desk space feel really good. So just take a minute to make your space something that feels really good to you. The next thing we're going to do is look for inspiration. People always ask me, where do you get your inspiration from? What inspires you to draw things? For me, I get inspiration from many things, from traveling to music, everything. But one key thing that I think is great for everyone to do, especially if you're looking at specifically illustrating fashion, is to flick through books. They might be vintage books that you have on couture fashion. It might be books on specific designers. It might be some of my fashion books. Whatever you like, whatever you have, flick through them and see if there's a particular image or a dress or a silhouette that really is something that you're excited about or something that you'd really love to draw. Now, the next way to get inspiration is creating a mood board. Now, this is kind of old school, really, and you can do it online. You can do it as a digital mood board if you prefer to work that way. I love to actually create mood boards that are tactile, that you can feel them, that you can actually pin up images, take them down, and I love to put on there anything that's inspiring me. It might be that I'm inspired by a Saint Laurent jacket or a killer black suit. So I'll find images that really inspire me in that way. I'll find textures, patterns. It might be that the suit has gold detailing or buttons, and so I'll look for inspiration. And inspiration comes from everywhere. You know, I might find that gold detailing actually on a vintage gold door handle. Anywhere, but I'll put all these pieces together and I'll put them on a mood board, and that will really form a story in my mind about what I want to draw and what I want to create. Another mood board that I might do might be something that's completely different, something very pink and soft and floral and, you know, couture and tulle. All the elements that are sort of swimming around in my mind, I will find them, print them, draw them, and kind of create a mood board that really tells me a story of what I'm picturing in my mind. So now that we have our desk space set up and we have our inspiration, we've created a mood board or we've flicked through images, the next thing is to really talk about the tools that we're going to use to actually create the illustrations. Now, I am very lucky to have this beautiful bespoke Montblanc pen, who I affectionately call Monty. Now, this pen was given to me by Montblanc, or created for me, I should say, back when I worked with them many years ago. And this is a fountain pen, and it was created to be custom to the way in which I draw and to fit my hand perfectly and to be the exact weight and everything that suits my drawing style. And it takes actual beautiful black ink. Now, most people don't have this pen, so I think for the purpose of today, I'm going to use other pens, because I do use other pens as well as Monty. And the pens that I'm going to use when I draw today to show you the examples are pens that you can get anywhere. They're markers, they're fine point pens, but they're essentially black, and any brand that you find that are similar to this style will be perfect to create your illustrations with. The first style that we're going to illustrate is the sleek style. Now, this one sounds simple because it doesn't have a lot of billowing shapes. It doesn't necessarily have volume or anything tricky about it. But that's what actually makes it quite tricky. You need to be quite precise in the way you draw it. Now, we call it the sleek because it's quite close to the body. So I'm going to start with just doing something very close to the neck. To begin, everything about the sleek is quite tapered. So we're going to go around here and follow the body, the actual line of the body. Now, the way to perfect the sleek look is be close to the body. If you draw it right to the exact line, like that, then that's showing a silhouette that's skin tight, really, really tight. And there's nothing wrong with that, but what looks a little bit more elegant and tapered is to just go a little bit out from the body and back in. I'm going to come across here and that in there. We're going to give a little waistline. Finish the neck. Simple, classic, sleek. Okay, so now we're going to follow down here to right down to just past the knee. Again, just following the shape of the body, just past the knee, and then we're going to do a straight line across there. I mean, we've already almost drawn the little black dress. Very, very simple. I'm going to fill in. Now, what we can do is you could simply colour that in. You could add a collar. What I'm going to do is give it a little bit of depth. So I'm going to colour this in here a little bit. Now, technique with pens is, or watercolours, or however you want to draw, is just adding line work. That's going to kind of block in that shape. I'm also going to fill in this. You don't need to fill in every element of it, but I think a little bit like this just fills it in. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is give this a little bit more interest by giving it a little kick. So it's one little half a circle there, a little half a circle here, and then I'm going to do what I call the wave, and this is how we show volume in a dress. You start from the back and come around, and then wave, 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 and back. Now it needs to kind of connect underneath, so you might have a little bit of a line there. And then to show that this has volume, you just kind of do a few little gestural lines like that. And then again, we can fill that in. Now we're going to, hopefully your template has limbs. We're just going to give a little bit of line work to that. Legs and shoes. Now shoes are so simple, I promise you. There are many different types of shoes that you can obviously illustrate, but the easiest and what looks great with everything that you draw, I promise, is the triangle. Voila. There you go. Now, I used quite a fat black Copic pen for that sleek look. I also love to add in what I call gestural lines. Now these I'll do with a thinner pencil, and I just kind of almost just very roughly go around the shape of the illustration, and it just kind of gives a little bit of movement. Okay, so that was our sleek. Okay, our second silhouette that we're going to draw is the princess silhouette. Now this silhouette I like to think of as the go big or go home. So this one is all about volume. I love to start this style of dress from the absolute middle point. So let's give ourselves a midway point here. And we might even do like a little waist here. And then it's really about volume. Try your wave at the top. And then just dart some lines up like that. That's going to be stage 1 of this princess dress, and then I think we'll give lots and lots of layers to this, which will be enormous fun. Again, one shooting out and then a wave, and always bring the wave back, and then give those gestural lines which show volume. Cute. Okay, next we go a slightly bigger wave. Go around here, bring the wave back, and then always remember that volume comes from in and then out. So we're going to do some gestural waves here, showing the fold of the garment, and then we'll do one more giant wave here. Really key to bring those lines down and then bring that back in. Voila! Okay, let's get the neck, fill in our body very simply. I feel like this one could really do with some neck pieces. Again, doing jewelry can be really just simple, some little line work. Our shoes, we learned the triangle on the last one. This one is going to be even easier. So we're just kind of going to do the silhouette of the leg and the foot in like this. And then we're just going to do some very tiny dots, almost like a little strappy diamond shoe. How cute's that? All right, and then let's add a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of texture, and just do that with just different, start at the bottom, little circles, little dots coming all the way up. Don't forget to add some into here. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then what gives a little bit of texture, I think, to this, I'll just define that a bit more, add those little dots and circles coming out. Just gives a little bit of a whimsical feel to the illustration. Voila! Princess. Okay, now for our third silhouette, and I think this one is the most fun. This one is our couture look. Now, with a couture look, you can kind of start anywhere, and it's all about big, voluminous shapes, things that are not of the ordinary. So I think what I might start with is maybe something that is coming in from this direction. Just going to switch pens here. Okay, and I think we're going to do something really big here. How cool is that? Okay, let's go across and bring something in. So some kind of huge shape. And then maybe we'll go down to here. Again, following the body a little bit on that one. And then something really crazy might be asymmetrical. Here's our wave again, coming in here. And then we might just rouge this completely back to here. Always draw lines in the direction of where the fabric is bellowing. That's pretty cool. All right, let's come in here. Maybe for this one, let's make it a bit more couture. She's wearing a boot. I think that's kind of cool. How's that? Couture. Okay, so now you have drawn your first 3 fashion illustration silhouettes. I hope you love them. The next step is something that may sound silly, but it's really important, and it's to sign your artwork. The reason why I'm really pointing this out is that for me, I always feel like, some pieces I work on for weeks, others I might do in 10 minutes. They all take different amounts of time, but when I look at something that I've drawn and I feel like, okay, it's finished, that's when I sign it. And so it's a great feeling to be able to finish something and sign it and know that it's completed and be happy with it. And also, who knows, you may end up the next Leonardo da Vinci and keep your artwork. So sign all your artwork and keep all the pieces that you love, anything that you've drawn, somewhere flat and secure, because who knows, you might want to come back and then frame them all in a special way. You might want to give them to someone. So sign all your work. Okay, the final stage in this masterclass is we've created our illustrations, we've signed them, and the next thing is to talk about framing. Now, you don't have to frame anything you've drawn if you don't want to, but framing is something that I get many questions about. How to frame artwork, what is the best frame, what will suit a piece of art. I always think framing is something that's quite personal, and it also really depends on the space that the piece of art is going into. But I do have some fail-safes for you. If you are framing something that is going into a modern interior, let's say like this studio, you cannot go wrong with a simple white minimal frame, like everything that you see in my studio here. The reason why this works so well is that it almost kind of just blends into the background. It just merges into the room, and you can then frame all different sizes, all different types of art all together, and they always work. It always looks really clean, beautiful, elegant, and simple. So if in doubt, go simple, go with white or black, and frame it in a very modern way. If you live or your space is something much more vintage and eclectic, then go crazy. And this is even more fun. I mean, pick eclectic frames, mix them up. I frame artwork in my actual home quite differently to the studio, and I use much more ornate gold frames because I like the spaces to feel different. I like my working space to feel like this, and then I like my home art to feel a little bit different. So do what you prefer, but if in doubt, go with simple. And that brings us to the end of this masterclass. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you found something interesting in what I talked about today. And I hope that in some way it's ignited a little bit of passion for drawing and for capturing fashion. I always think that anything creative is something that anyone can do, and it just takes practice. And, a lot of people ask me, especially when they're really interested in drawing and they're interested in becoming a fashion illustrator, how do they find their style? What do they do to find that, to hone that? And I always say to them that if you just literally keep drawing, then your style will actually find you. Thank you, everyone.